Good evening. I'm Kenneth Lin. I'm sure many of you have heard of me as the one who started a petition against Mr. Lee Kuan Yew earlier this year for belittling Singaporeans. This petition was publicized by Temasek Review as well as several other websites and forums. I have read many comments about me. Among the things said about me was that I was brainwashed, foolish, reckless, that I was being used, being manipulated, a PAP spy, and some even said that I was the son of an opposition leader. How is that possible when no opposition leader has the same surname as me? All these speculations were just rubbish, you know. And that's why I'm here today. Today, I'm going to tell you my side of the story of how I got involved in politics and let you be the judge. Back in 2008, when I was in secondary 2, I read somewhere that it was Mr. Lee Kuan Yew's birthday. Back then, like most students my age, I was extremely supportive of the government and regarded Mr. Lee Kuan Yew as my hero. So I went online to search more on his contributions. I was looking through the search results when I chanced upon one entitled One Nation Under Lee. I clicked on it and turned out it was a 45-minute documentary about Lee Kuan Yew and how he iron-fistedly subjugated an entire nation in the guise of democracy. That was the description on the website anyway. I was skeptical at first, but for some strange reason, I decided to watch it. During those 45 minutes, I learned things that I would never have learned in my school textbooks. I was shocked at how Lee Kuan Yew shut down independent newspapers and detained political opposition all just to remain in power. I was shocked at how many times our leaders' salaries are compared to the other countries' leaders. I was shocked at how the government treated peaceful protests as if the protesters were terrorists. That documentary woke me up from the dreamland that the government painted so nicely for me for the past 14 years of my life. I knew that I could not continue living as I did before, because to do so would just be lying to myself. Those few days after my awakening were filled with bitterness and anguish. I was angry and bitter at the system for lying to me for the past 14 years of my life. It was like waking up one day and realizing that everything you believed in, everything your life depended on, was a lie, a big, cruel lie. I felt all alone in school, as if I was the only person who knew what was really happening. I began to frantically search for someone who could understand how I felt, someone who knew what I knew, but I found none back then. I even tried talking to my parents, but each conversation would naturally end up in an argument, with my parents giving me the cold shoulder for the rest of the day. Even as the world deserted me, there was still one person who did not, and that was God. He gave me the strength to carry on during that difficult period. He was also the reason why I felt compelled to stand up for the oppressed against the injustice in this country. Later on, I had people in my life, pastors, teachers, counselors, to guide and assure me that I wasn't alone. When I was still filled with hatred and bitterness, I found comfort in a particular Bible verse, which says to love your enemies and to pray for those who persecute you. Truthfully, I came across it many times before, but I didn't really understand it until that moment. It was then I realized what loving my enemies really meant, and that the alternative, to hate my enemies, would just multiply into a never-ending chain of hate. As Martin Luther King Jr. once said, "Hate cannot overcome hate, only love can." All the criticisms and misconceptions that people have about me does not matter, as my faith has guided and helped me to persevere throughout the years as well as the years to come. Today, I urge more young people to step out of their comfort zone and to stand up and speak up for what is right and what they believe in, as this is so desperately needed for a better Singapore. Remember, it's about you. It has always been about you. Thank you.